appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by the talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful south coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Goose County. Hello, Cricket. Hello, America and beyond. I want to thank all of you who are tuning in tonight. It's going to be one of those Friday Night Rants, and I got a couple of professional ranters coming on the show, and there's a lot to rant about. I got a lot of eye candy. We're going to be talking about the confirmation hearings. That was entertaining. I do it for a living. I have to go and check that stuff out. But it's very grueling to sit through the 6 hours that they basically drag someone over the coals in one of those Senate hearings. And we're going to be talking about that because Monday, or was it Monday? It was Tuesday. Pete Hegseth was in there, and I got some clips of that. That guy was great. And I finally got to see a senator do something that I've been wanting politicians to see do for a long time. And we'll get to that in a minute here. And of course, it's Friday. And where would a Friday Night Rant be without Marty? Marty, how you doing, man?
Oh, hey, that's me. How you doing? I was fiddling with my browser going, is there any way I can put this into dark mode so you're not seeing the reflection of my screen on my glasses while I'm talking? And as I was doing that, you're going, and here's Marty. I'm like, oh, here I am.
That's a good question. I've got mine in dark mode. So yeah, you should be able to, you're talking about your StreamYard screen, right?
Yeah, exactly. I should be able to put it into dark mode. And
I think
so
you
far,
can.
not much luck, but working on it.
Okay. Well, if you figure it out, let me know so I can tell everyone else. And of course, we got a special guest joining us, Chris Brumbles. He's from Columbia County. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm raising all kinds of hell over here. I just got, I don't know if y'all have heard about this or not, but there's a group trying to get an initiative into vote by mail. And the funny thing is, after the election, I was so fired up after I saw how this country was fired up. Yeah. I was like, how can we do this to Oregon, man? I know. Let's get rid of vote by mail, or at least attempt to. And then I was reading that Ben Edel and Michaela Hammerson and Stephen Jonkus was doing it. So I called Ben. I said, thanks for doing this, man. And he goes, hey, you want to be the director of Columbia County? I said, anything for you, just like I tell you, Rob. I mean, anything that'll put a piss in their Wheaties, I don't care. So
anything for Ben Edel. Ben Edel is one of the true blues, man.
I love the guy, man. These guys are go-getters, and they're going to try to end vote by mail. We got to get 1,000 signatures first. Then, you know how it works. You get 1,000 signatures. I believe you get a ballot title. It's been a while since I did one. I think last time I did one was with you.
I think you're right. It's 1,000 signatures. You get those get counted and reviewed or something.
Right. And then they want to get like 2,000 signatures and put it on the 2026 ballot. But if anybody wants to know anything more about it, I just wanted to put this shout out to them. It's called nvbm.com. It's got all the information you need on there. Get a hold of Ben if you want to help out. I mean, we got to get. In fact, I told him to call you, Rob, to when we were doing the SAPO and the SASO. I figured you still had the list of CPs in all the counties.
Yeah. I have a few. I have a few. There's a couple out there. There were some that are probably still active. Yeah, I do need to get in touch with him and Michaela. Anyway, I'm going to get him on the show. Not this Monday. Hopefully the next Monday. He's busy this Monday. Monday.
You probably have their contact, but if you don't, just let me know and I'll text them to you.
Oh yeah, and I was excited about that too. I thought that was thought it was good timing. We're going into summer right now. And the parties need something to do because we're in one of those off years. And it's hard to get people to our booths. So if you actually have an attraction such as a petition that people want to sign, man, they come to your booth a lot faster than if you're just handing out stickers.
So I'll tell you what I was kind of laying off for the holidays, and right after I got appointed director of Columbia County for this vote by mail, I texted my county commissioner and I said, Merry Christmas. I didn't want you to feel left out. I didn't want you to feel like I forgot you. I'm still going to recall you. But I just got appointed director of Columbia County vote by mail. And now the base will get fired up. We'll make sure to start getting signatures for you. And I said, Merry Christmas. And she texted me back, I really need to talk to you. I'm like, okay, call me after the first. And she hasn't called me yet. But anyways, I just, you got to rub it in a little bit. She was pushing DEI in our county, and I warned her, you do that communist shit here, I can say shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a podcast. We have people that listen to the podcast that would like to have it cleaned up a bit, and we're going, well, if we were doing clean, we'd still be on the radio if we could get on the radio again.
Well, twice we went down and filled up the county commissioner's room, and everybody in the room got up and asked her to resign, and she's not going to. She's also on the school board for St. Helens. I know you've heard about that, where they're firing all kinds of teachers for messing around with kids. They've been doing that for years.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
do you have any kids in that school?
What's that?
Do you have any kids in that school?
Not anymore. They've been out for quite a while, but I remember when my kids were there was a teacher named Robleski, and he was a football coach too. And I couldn't believe it. I was at a football game, and he grabbed the ass of the stat girl, who was a little skinny girl, probably about 14, 15 years old. And I stood up. Hey, anybody else see this Pollock grab her ass? And I went to the school and told them about it. They just ignored it. So it's been going on a long time. But he did go to prison. He ended up going to prison. I believe it was for 8 years and he got out in 5, or maybe it was just 5 years. I don't know. But
wow, you got to do something bad to get 5 years in prison today.
Yeah. Well, he had been caught like 3 times. And after he got caught, they put a harsh rule on him. You can't be around any girls without another teacher there. I mean, that was it. And did they let their parents know? Hell no. I mean, you know how the teachers protect each other.
Right.
They're like freaking government, man. They don't talk about each other, or like the Democrats.
So at SWAC, we've got this teacher there who has, I believe he has 2 victims. He was a high school teacher, and he was diddling female students there. And now he's at SWAC. And one of his jobs at SWAC is to help kids who are getting their GED. Now, usually, granted, they're usually the older kids, but still, you got a guy who's a registered sex offender, who's a known sex offender, working with kids at the local college. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, the left, they're all into that. That's just a sexual preference.
Right.
And so, I've been looking at houses in Montana and mostly Wyoming, and man, they're still going up in Montana, but in Wyoming, the house I've been looking at has gone down $75,000. But I can't leave for about a year and a half, and so I've had like 4 friends I've tried to. I go down and buy this house. Will you live in it for free? Just pay your own electric. Nobody.
How cold does it get there, Chris?
45 below, but there ain't no Democrats. There's 4 Democrats in the state. That's it.
And I guarantee you, they're large Democrats.
And you know what? There's no tent cities, and pedophilia is not a sexual preference. And all the little old ladies walking down the street have guns. It's the most guns per capita in the United States. I love it.
I have relatives in Cody, and it's just like every time I go and hang out in Cody, I'm like, oh, this is so.
I love
great.
Cody.
This is so great because it's like they're having a parade and politicians are going by and the politicians are saying drain the swamp. It's not, people on the sidelines are yelling drain the swamp and they're saying it back to them, and I'm like, now this is cool. I like this place. But currently it's 12 degrees in Cody, so you might want to reconsider that whole.
Well, yesterday it was
I'm going to need to park a
23.
23 degrees.
Yesterday, I've actually got it on my phone because I want to go so bad, but I mean,
keeping track of it. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
I get it.
Let's see here.
I thought you already got land out there.
No.
Oh,
it's 9 degrees. I was wrong.
Oh,
yesterday it was 23 degrees.
Yeah.
It was 12 earlier today, so maybe it's cooled off a bit.
Well, the great place, and see, the house I want to buy is up in Clark, which is, I was like, I kept seeing houses in Clark go down in price, so I just typed in the internet, what the hell's wrong with Clark, Wyoming?
Yeah, no kidding.
The windiest place in Wyoming. They had like 135 mile an hour winds one day last winter, which I guess we'll pick up a boulder and throw it.
Wow. So
crazy.
Lenny's on the line. Lenny's one of my regulars. Good to see you, Lenny. He says, where can I get one of them off cowboy hats? The Oregon Firearms Federation cowboy hat.
I'll tell you what, brother, you find me, I'll give you the sticker. You got to get the hat. I just put a sticker on a hat.
Oh, and thank you, 3H Tree Service. And thank you for all you do. Before I go any further, I love this video. I don't know if you guys have checked this out. You lived out here for quite a while, Chris. Marty, you grew up here. You guys are used to this kind of stuff. But this is one of my sponsors. Check this out. Service.
Wow,
I love that.
That's
stuff.
great. It reminds
That's
me
dangerous
of
there, brother.
That is some dangerous stuff.
It is.
Todd Vaughn, where we had.
I mean, there ain't too many safe jobs in the woods, but I don't think I'd want to do that.
That's not one I wouldn't want to do. 90 feet in the air, chainsaw in one hand, your Marlboro in the other. That's what makes a man a man. That's where you separate the men from the boys.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Usually with pry bars because you're like, I'm falling.
Yeah, it reminds me of the commercial we did for the Todd Vaughn campaign that had chainsaw noises at the ends. It's like, put a logger in Salem. Yeah, let's get some real Republicans in there.
And you know what we do too? We need to get rid of all of them. Everybody in both houses and both sides of the Senate, except for maybe Robinson, Yunker, and
Thatcher,
and Linthicum, and replace them all. We just do. They're all cowards or traitors or both.
Yeah.
Sick and tired of it, man. Can I bring up Mike or Bill or Brian Iverson?
Go for it. It's early in the show, but go for it.
I mean, we may have to de-louse after I talk about him a little bit.
Okay.
But that little scumbag, he's out there. He's got a podcast with Reagan, or what's his name? Reagan Knopp.
No. Yeah.
Nope.
Tell people who these people are. Tell them who Iverson is, and tell them who Reagan is.
Iverson is the legislative assistant for his wife, who used to be the minority leader. What is this thing going on my screen here? Oh, and he's also supposedly supposed to be in charge of the money for the caucus to get Republicans elected, right? So he comes out on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and I listened to it for a few minutes. I had to go gouge my ears afterwards, but I mean, these two guys are rhinos, and he's always preaching with all his scumbag commie friend or rhino friends, preaching Reagan's 11th commandment. Don't ever talk bad about Republicans. And then I find out that he spends somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 to go against Robinson or Noah Robinson and Diane Linthicum, who are great grassroots Republicans.
Yeah.
And And while he's doing it, of course, he's helping the Democrats. And then you find out that $250,000 of that money went to his company, and then he got another $100,000 for being legislative assistant. Now he's out there, laughing and saying, hey, Kevin Sturr, my wife, everybody knows who Kevin Sturr is, right? My wife got more votes per capita than any other Republican in the state. But what he didn't say is that he helped the Democrats. And then he got on and called Clackamas County Republicans pieces of shit. He literally said that, unless I heard it wrong, but I don't think I did. So this guy is out there preaching Reagan's 11th Amendment, and he's taking money from their sponsors to get Republicans elected and actively working against them. And then he's making himself rich is what he's doing. Right. And I'm just kind of wondering, how the hell is that different than a Democrat?
Well, it isn't. It isn't.
How is that? And how are we ever going to get ahead with people like this we need to destroy that caucus. We need to start hitting their donors and get their money and have us give it out so we can get some grassroots in there. Because what I understand is they're going to push Drazen again for governor. Nobody's going to vote for Drazen.
No.
I mean, come on.
No, not after what she did. No, not after what she did.
Well, look at her voting record. It looks like she was cheating off of a class paper that was Kotex. I mean, she was voting damn near the same way. And then these people every year they come back and they say we just need more Republicans for what? You're selling us out every year.
Yeah, they get these squishy Republicans, and we're all supposed to support them, not question them. And if we do, we're the bad guy, not the people they pick. And just shut up, go along to get along, and that's what the plan is for the Republicans. All out surrender. And my problem with the Iverson is that, like you said, he runs a business, and you didn't quite clarify this. He runs a business where he goes out, he finds candidates, and then he fundraises on their campaign. He gets a percentage of that money. So when candidates run against people like good Republicans like Noah Robinson and Linthicum, he then makes money off the campaign of the people who are opposing them by helping fundraise the opposition against the good Republicans.
And I've literally talked to candidates that have told me two things that he said. Oh, you got donations from OFF? Oh, we can't help you. And then the other thing is he said, if you don't vote the way I want to vote, we're not going to give you money. Now, this clown, we don't want another Democrat in Republican name only.
Right.
We don't want that. We want grassroots that'll be principled and do the right things.
We actually need more David Brock Smiths. That's what we need.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I could see him as a bump, like a speed bump, if we need more speed bumps in the state.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I mean, actually, probably more like one of those, those big barrels they put up by guardrails to take impacts. They could probably use him for one of those. He'd be a great impact barrier kind of guy.
Well, let me tell you all the reason why he hates OFF.
Yeah.
He hates OFF because, Kevin, he's the one who puts out the alerts, and he puts out the truth. And evidently he doesn't like the truth, because I called him up and said, why are you calling us fringe and crap like that? We just gave you guys like $225,000 last year. And he goes, by the way, we don't do that anymore. he goes, plus they started the fake gun group trying to become relevant, and everybody saw right through that.
Yeah, Michaela is even saying that. She says they also created that fake rights PAC organization. So it's even worse than just a gun group. It was a political action committee. Yeah. So they can once again fundraise on a phony group that's never going to go out and do any activism or work in the field of protecting your Second Amendment rights. And they get the benefit of giving people the donation $50 or $100 per couple for being a political action committee, and they get to give out endorsements on top of it.
I mean,
beautiful.
They're just scum. They're
scum.
Yeah, wasn't that the pact?
The funny thing is they think they're relevant, and they think that they're winning the war against us, but we don't even have to say anything. Just let them talk. But everybody loves OFF. They know that we're the only no compromise gun group in the whole state, and we've stood by people time after time again, and we will never stop. But I mean, what is it going to do if you get Republicans in there? And back in 1998, Kevin started OFF, I believe it was 98, and they pushed a bill to have constitutional carry. And of course, the NRA, which I call not really allies, came in and threatened everybody. You vote, threaten the Republicans. You vote for this, we won't help back you anymore. And of course, all the Republicans, they had the House and the Senate in 98, and they got nothing done. The same thing. Democrats got everything they wanted. So I want proof. I want principled people out there that's going to give me proof that they're going to fight for us no matter what. If you have to walk out and lose your job, that's what I want. I mean, that's the only way we're going to take this place back.
Marty will be happy to hear this. Our Republican Party here was pretty much in alignment against me and Marty and anyone else who wasn't supporting David Brock Smith.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And so the party has kind of flipped now. We've gotten a couple of different people in there. And so the party's kind of taking a different direction, and they're talking about actually having candidates follow the platform. And if they don't follow the platform, then the county level party will not support you.
Is Douglas County is going to do that?
No, this is Coos County. Douglas County is still taken over by the elitist of the Iverson types. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
and the David Brock Smith. I'm still trying to figure out, is David Brock Smith a useful idiot or is he a communist? I can't figure that one out.
I'm not sure which. Yeah.
I'm going with idiot communist. I don't think he's very useful to anyone except for he destroys a lot of money.
Yeah, if David Brock Smith don't like what I'm saying, all he has to do is text me and I'll send him my address. We can meet anytime.
Oh yeah,
anytime.
No, he's used
because I hate traitors.
Yeah, he's used lawfare against Rob. He's used lawfare against Ben Edidal. He's used lawfare against Todd Vaughn,
our candidate. Yeah,
he's a freaking crybaby, man.
He went after the billboard company because he didn't like a billboard.
I know. I love that billboard.
There was nothing wrong with the billboard, but we can't afford. We only charge you $1,500 for that billboard. It's going to cost us way more than that to get the lawyers to fight this guy. So we're going to take your billboard down. And I was like, oh man, lawfare once again. Thank you, David Brock Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically shut down. He got Rob thrown off the air. He got a newspaper shut down. He went after a lot of people, and it was like, all we're doing is pointing out. All we did was say, oh, why did you take $125,000 from a California Democrat who runs a Pacific Pacific Newport fund, which is $2 billion invested in China? Just explain that one for me.
Well, lefties don't like free speech unless it's them doing the talking.
And they don't like people. They don't like having to give answers to questions like that. So
no. Lenny makes a great comment. He says, "Off newsletter is the most concise and honest hunk of information you can get, and worth a donation on its own." I would agree with Lenny. I would agree 100% on that. Lenny, he has something to say to you there, Marty. He says, and I believe I'm on 10 Kuhrt banquets at the moment.
10 Kuhrt banquets already? Wow. I didn't start until the show started. This is my first beer. I mean, come on.
I got to tell you something that's funny, though.
Yes. Okay.
I write a lot for Readout News. I haven't done it in a few months, but I used to write, once or twice a week. And that's up in Idaho, and had about 15,000 people reading them and listening to my trigger warning show before I got kicked off the radio too. Remember, because it was an election year
by Republicans.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Well, some of them. One of them was I don't have proof, but I think it was a Democrat behind it. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So Kevin was reading my letters, and Kevin gave me a call one day and said, "Chris, you're awful snarky." I said, "Really? You're calling me to tell me I'm snarky? Where the hell you think I learned it from, Kevin?" Kevin,
calling anyone snarky.
Yeah,
and that actually sounds like a compliment. If somebody called me up and said, "Hey, you're snarky," and I'm like, "Well, thank you. I've been honing those snarkiness talents. I mean, thanks for the acknowledgement."
Yeah. I'm a little rougher than he is. I'd like to get a little bit, get the nerves better than he does, but I don't know. He does a pretty good job.
So I've got the bill, the Oregon legislature on the screen right now. I'm going to type in texts. I'm going to type in firearms, and we're going to, okay, so we got a couple of bills. SB 11 was the Kim Thatcher Ed Deal bill, the one that says directs an arresting officer to inquire about citizenship when an officer arrests a person for a crime and the person is in possession of a firearm bill. So there's one.
That'll never pass.
And that will never pass.
No.
Right.
Yeah, I always kind of wonder if a lot of those bills, I mean, because, DBS was saying, oh, but I proposed all these bills. And I'm going, you proposed them so you look good, knowing full well they will never pass.
Oh, before we go on, you'll like this, Rob. Did you hear what Trump said about windmills?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't hear that one.
He said, no more windmills, man. They're an economic and they're basically destructive.
Right. The most expensive energy that you can purchase. It has to be 100% subsidized. And He says not one more windmill is going up off the coast as long as he's president.
Yep. Good. Well, I've been predicting for years that we're going to go to hydrogen anyways. Hydrogen, I've studied it quite a bit. That is free energy. You just dump water in a tank. It pulls the hydrogen out of the water, puts it back together after it burns it, and dumps it out as water. You can't get better than that.
So this is the bill SB 429. This is from Prozansky and Manning.
Oh, anti-Brzezinski. Yeah.
Yeah, anti-Prozansky, and prohibits a gun dealer from transferring a firearm or unfinished frame or receiver until 72 hours have elapsed from the time the gun dealer requested a criminal background check. The gun dealer has received the background check approval number from the Department of State Police. How do you like that? Another 72 hours on top of
that's a 3-day wait. We used to have 3-day wait, man, and I got guns faster than I do now.
So here's what I don't understand, and Michaela brings it up, is why do the Republicans, and that was a Kim Thatcher bill that one about asking about an illegal alien status if they get caught for a gun crime. Right. Well, aren't they worried about the gut and stuff? Because that's why he introduces all those bills. If she's talking about David Brock Smith, he'll introduce good bills knowing that they will be gut and stuffed and turned into bad bills. Why do the Republicans even bother putting in bills at this point?
Well, that's so they can go back and tell their people that they put in bills and give me money, please.
Yeah. You look at this bill, and I had such great intentions, but unfortunately, we were shot down because of all the Democrats, and if you give me more money, I will have more money. But I mean, that doesn't mean we're going to have more Republicans. But yeah, he'll be more money in his pocket, which he'll divvy out to the Kuhrt Boyces of the world and the rest of the folks in the food chain in Oregon politics that are all feeding off the California Democrats. So,
right. Here's another Brzezinski bill. It says authorizes the governing bodies of certain public entities that own or control public buildings to adopt a policy, ordinance, or regulation limiting the affirmative defense of concealed handgun licensees for the crime of possessing a firearm in a public building. So even if you got a concealed handgun license, you can't go into a public building with it.
Or the surrounding grounds.
The surrounding grounds.
So what does that mean? Does that mean if you drive by it? I mean, you never know what these things. These people started off their first 2 LCs this year were placer bills. So we don't even know what's coming. You know what placer bills are? Everybody knows what placer bill is. They put in things, say state police will study this or they'll study that, and then it's like 2 sentences, and at the end when they're ready to pass it, they fill it all in. I mean, in Washington they got ghost bills where they just put the title and wait till the end of the session and fill them in. It's ridiculous.
In fact, I just put one of those bills up, the place bills that you were talking about. This is one right here. This is, let's see, let me get the number of this.
Yeah, they all say the same thing. The Department of State Police will study background checks, by gun transfer, stuff like that.
Right. It's a placeholder.
Yeah, they all say the same thing.
They all say directs blank to study blank. And it's like, okay, isn't that kind of your freaking job in the first place? Aren't you like, isn't it?
Actually, it's not their job.
actually
It's not their
looking-
job. But I mean, background checks is one of the most evil and oppressive things ever invented.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
one I read for like the health department was, well, the health department should be doing studies on health issues. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what they're supposed to do in the first place, right? So you said it right. It's a placer bill. It's basically a placeholder until they can stuff something else in
Right,
that.
right. And as long as it pertains to firearms or whatever they put up there, then they can just come and put the biggest, nastiest anti-gun bill you ever saw.
Well,
So Chris, here's one I got a question on.
It had ambiguous wording in it where it was like going, okay, well, it's a public place, or a public place that it's in control of, a government entity. And I'm like going, well, you want to stretch that out, you could say anywhere the police patrol is being controlled by a government entity. So there's everything about the ambiguity of the wording of that just makes you go, wow, this is really going to be bad.
Yeah.
Michaela has the right idea here. She says, the only bills I want to see are bills that remove laws, smaller government. That would be nice.
Yep.
This one here, explain this to me, Chris. It says this one here is, let's see, this is House Bill 2294. It says, relating to theft of firearms, the act directs the CJC to classify theft of a firearm as a level 8 offense, directs the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission to classify theft of a firearm as a crime category 8 offense on the sentencing guidelines grid of the commission. Is that increasing the offense, or is it reducing the offense? I don't know what the original punishment is for that.
I can't think of it offhand either, but I'll be honest, I haven't read this one yet. I haven't read them all. I've been to Montana like 4 times in the last 5 months. And I've been running around, and 4 family members died from that frickin' clot shot, and been busy, but I'm getting on it now. I'm all over it. I haven't read that one yet, but
okay, here's another
two I
one.
really think people should know about, and I can't remember the numbers of them. Oregon, we already talked about one of them. They want to restrict CHLs even more and not let them go to. First, they tripled the fees or whatever they did to get your CHL, and now they want to make it so you can't go anywhere. And so there's a couple definitions of public buildings, and one of them does say includes the surrounding area, the parking lot, and I don't know about the parking lot, but I do know about like if you go to Capitol, the lawns all around it. That can be part of the building,
right? Yeah, the park and all that stuff.
That's actually part of the building in some laws. Some laws it's not. Like when they said we couldn't go in the Capitol building, they didn't include that. I think that was a screw up on their part, but they'll probably fix that at some point. But Oregon also wants to make it illegal for 18 to 20-year-olds to buy guns or have guns or any of that stuff. And that's totally unconstitutional. And later on, when you're ready, I'd like to go over the Heller and Bruin methodology real quick so that people would know that every gun law is illegal. Every single one.
Every single one. Which totally validates the Oregon or the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance. Totally validates it.
Oh, it's funny about that you mentioned that, because I was just I read a lot of court cases, even if they don't have to do with guns, because sometimes they have to do with guns indirectly. But Washington, I guess the feds gave Washington a airport. And so they've been shipping illegals out of the country using that airport. And Washington says, hey, we're not going to let you do this. And guess what they used in court? The anti-commandeering doctrine.
Of course. Of course.
Except for the anti-commandeering doctrine prevents the feds making them help them. But because of the supremacy clause, they're able to use that airport still. So I think it's just great. I think they ship all the illegals out of Oregon and Washington when they take them back.
You and I know the anti-commandeering law. Explain to people what that law is.
It's basically a law. It's several case laws that we went to the Supreme Court, and I don't have the list in front of me, but I do know the linchpin was Mac Prins versus United States.
Right.
Sheriff Mack is a friend of mine and Rob's, and basically the Clinton administration, and he's still alive, and he fought Clinton and won, but Clinton administration come in and said, hey, you got to do sheriff's got to do background checks, and if you don't do it, we're going to throw you in jail and fine you. And he said, screw this. He took him to court. And so basically the court said, hey, look, state legislatures are not, what was the words that Scalia used, are not ventriloquist the federal government is not ventriloquist to state employees or state legislatures or something like that. So in other words, they can't use them as their personal lackeys.
Right.
They can't. So yes, I mean, they didn't stop them from doing background checks, but they said you can't force state employees to enforce these and use their money to do it and stuff. You just can't. Right. So, there is a separation of powers there, and the federal government can't do whatever they want. Thank goodness. But yeah, so the anti-common, they had a couple cases. I can't remember the other one right now. I've got a book on it. I need to read it again this year. I usually read it every year, but not only can they not make state employees do what they want, they can't just make, what was the other one?
Well, it's like a mandate. They can't put a mandate on you and then force you to pay for it and to service
it. Well, they can't use your employees either. And,
right.
I mean, if they tell the government, so see, I have a problem. Sometimes I talk to my county commissioner about this all the time. He keeps getting grants, and I ask him, "Is there any strings attached?" Oh, there's always strings attached, Chris. I said, "Well, then don't get them." And,
right.
And he goes, "Well, they implement these programs, and we have to do it." And so I tell him, no, you don't. Have you read the Oregon State Constitution?
Right.
It says if they implement a program that costs money, they have to pay for it. It doesn't say you have to beg for it and give up 10 more things.
Right.
But that's the way they do it here. And, until we get county commissioners that have a pair of cojones and aren't afraid of them, that's going to continue happening.
Yep. So going to the Bruin decision, because that led you right into the Bruin decision.
Okay. So everybody's heard of Heller and Bruin. And Heller and Bruin came out with methodologies on how you can basically grab guns or ban guns. And so first they start with the text, the historical analog analysis of the law and tradition. So you go by the text, and obviously the text says that every gun law is illegal. So then it becomes the burden of the state or the federal government, whoever's in court, to prove by using history, historical laws that has been done between 1791 and 1826. Well, we had hardly any gun laws back then. What they can't be, though, is they can't be unconstitutional laws, and they can't be racist, according to SCOTUS. So we'll move down further, and you cannot ban arms that are in common use. And you can only ban arms that are dangerous and unusual. So SCOTUS has admitted that all guns are dangerous, but they've said that, and I'm going to use my words, not all guns are nuclear weapons, so they're not all unusual. And if they are in common use, they cannot be unusual. So, in Katana, SCOTUS opined that 200,000 stun guns were in common use. So do you think that 30 million or 40 million AR-15s are in common use? I do believe so.
I would say, that's absolutely, yeah.
So it's also important to get the definitions. The SCOTUS uses two different dictionaries. One was written by this dude from London. The other one was written by Noah Webster, 1826 American Dictionary of English. I have that one. And it says, it defines people as U.S. citizens or natives of the United States. Arms are anything that can be used, and people don't know this, but arms, anything that can be used offensively or defensively. So even my bulletproof vest here is an arm, and they cannot be banned. And to keep, of course, is to have, and to bear is to carry inside or outside on your person. So leftists judge are twisting these, Heller and Bruin, by redefining their methodology. Two things they've been doing to violate the Constitution is they changed the common use for lawful purpose into common use for self-defense, because hardly anybody uses an AR-15 for self-defense. So they'll just say, "Oh, you don't use these for self-defense, so we can ban them." Well, that's a bunch of horse pucky. Well, the other thing they do is, okay, I look at my notes here. They like to, what the heck was it? Okay, they changed for common use of lawful purpose into common use for self. Okay, they changed the common use law for lawful purpose into common use for self-defense. Well, they also, dangerous and unusual. They like to say that these arms are dangerous and unusual, and they can't because they're in common use. So that's what they did at 114 when we were in federal court. They can't do that, but they're too stupid or too ignorant or just too ideologically indoctrinated to see that. But we know they don't care. We know they don't care if we spend millions of dollars. That's what they want us to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that
the
tells
whole point
me
of lawfare is that they're not actually arguing the law. They're just basically they're basically holding out until you run out of money. And that's
they're making the law as they go.
Yeah, Oregon's good for that. Look at what they've done to you guys on at off, man. Damn, the amount of money you guys have spent on.
We got I believe 4 lawsuits going now. Two of them are against Kevin. and I think we're going to win those 2 for sure.
Yeah, those I'm pretty sure you're going to win. That was just I the last time it was on here would be the time before last. Yeah. He talked about those lawsuits, and it was like listening to a Seinfeld episode. It was like it was a lawsuit about nothing. Okay.
Well, that idiot that did 114, I'm not going to mention his name because he doesn't. No. But he literally went into court, and he did a shitty. I think I could have done better, and I'm not a lawyer. He did a shitty job, in my opinion. And then he had already got an enormous amount of money, and for 8 days, I think it was 8 days. It may have been more or less, but he sent a huge bill. It was like $160,000, $160,000.
It was huge,
huge. And it's like Kevin says, "Send me an invoice. Let me see what this is for." And he immediately filed suit on him. He didn't even try to settle or figure this out or nothing. But I wouldn't have. I mean. And then he started going out and say, "We don't pay our bills." We've always paid our bills. This is the first guy that had to wait. But
wow,
I think he's going to get his behind handed to him when it's all over. And the guy doesn't drive, so he has to get cabs everywhere and planes everywhere to meet. And he's trying to charge us for all this and stuff.
That's weird.
Yeah. So
that should tell you right there. What kind of man doesn't drive? I mean, damn.
I think he's got some problems, but I don't know. That's why I'm not mentioning his name. You never know. He might sue me.
He might sue you. Yeah, they got plenty of time to do that. None of your business. He's going back to some of the comments we made before. He says, as if CHL holders are committing the gun crimes. What a perfect way to place people in danger in public buildings by letting criminals feel safe there.
Right. Yeah. And CHL holders commit 6 times less crimes than police officers. And I was going to ask too, is that a problem? I've lived in Oregon for 50 years. I don't remember any CHL holder going in and shooting up a public building.
Never. Not that I've ever heard of. That I've ever heard of. Or committing any type of like mass shootings or anything like that. You'll never hear of CHL holders doing that kind of shit.
No, literally cops commit 6 times more crimes than CHL holders. But that's who. But they want the military and the police. If only the military and police have guns, then only the military and police will have guns. And I know there's been about 200,000 murders or 200 million murders, depending on who you look at, in the 20th century by their own government after they've been disarmed. Do we really want to take a chance on that? No.
Do we really? Yeah, no shit. Yeah, we're going to let a whole bunch of criminals in, and then we're going to take away your guns. How's that great? Then we'll pass dark skies and make it dark.
We can be the next China, where it's like we take away your guns and then we kill you, or the Russia where they took away everybody's guns and then they killed them all, or Pol Pot. They did a great job with that one. It's like,
you know, I own a liquor store, and we spent 23 years lobbying trying to get a raise. 23 years, 22 or 23 years. We finally got a raise. And now the governor put out her budget asking for us to get a 6% pay cut, and the thing is, we got it in legislation. She can't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I think also Associated Liquor Stores of Oregon are going to hire an attorney and sue them, because, all they've ever done is cost us more and more money. And we've raised our income 900% since we took over our store. That all goes to the state, and they can't even give us a living wage. It's just pathetic.
Yeah. People don't even realize that. I know they think you got a liquor store. Well, you must be rolling in it. Yeah.
You know what? So I got to tell you how they negotiate. So 23 years, every year we went in trying to get a raise. Yeah. The first year I remember we went in, we came out paying for their paper bags to sell their liquor, because they own the liquor. Oh yeah, we had to. So that was our raise. We got to pay for their paper bags, and then every year after that, we'd go in, bitch about wanting a raise, and they go, well, we'll give you a little tiny, 0.02% raise, but you guys got to pay for the $8 or $10 or $12 million worth of Visa payments. No, we're not doing that. And we told them we'd take out our Visa machines.
No kidding.
So it's to get you to shut up. You know how they work.
Oh yeah,
and go away.
And you could take away those card machines, because like the pot stores, they can't take cards. I can guarantee you people will come in there with cash. I guaranteed.
Well, almost every year they raise minimum wage. We kept above minimum wage for many years, and then we couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
And so every year, because when you start selling more like that, that's what they tell you. You want to raise, sell more liquor. Yeah. So we'd sell more liquor, but you got to hire more employees. Yeah. And you got to spend more money on lights, and you got to keep open out.
Coffee's the same way. Yeah. I totally. Yeah.
If anybody did that to any other company in the state, the state would be all over them.
Right.
I mean, it's theft. These guys are scumbags.
Oh yeah.
But Kate Brown, so we finally got somewhere around a 5% raise. I think it was year before last or something like that. And now they want to take 6%. So, and then you got people like Rayfield. We'll only give you a raise, even though we've been costing you more money every year. We'll only give you a raise if you promise you'll give it all to your employees. And screw you. That ain't none of your business where the money goes. They want to tell you where the money goes.
I can't afford my employees. I can't afford them.
We don't get benefits. We don't get medical insurance. We don't get none of that stuff. We're not state employees. My wife is basically what do they call them? They're like a contractor, but I forget what they call them. They don't call them a contractor. And then trying to delegate where you put the money, if they give you some, if they're nice enough to give you some.
Right.
We got some real retards in Salem, man.
Yeah, that's beyond explanation. But you were watching the confirmation hearings, and I've got a couple of clips.
I watched a few.
Yeah, that was damn entertaining. That Pete Hegseth thing, that was great. So I got a couple of clips. Let me play this first one here.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, and all the members of this committee for this opportunity today. I'm grateful for and have learned a great deal from this advise and consent process. Our founders knew what they were doing. Should I be confirmed, I look forward to working with this committee, senators from both parties, to secure our nation. I want to thank the former senator from Minnesota, Norm Coleman, for his mentorship and friendship in this process. And the incoming National Security Advisor, Congressman, and more importantly for our purposes, Colonel Mike Waltz, for his powerful words. I'm grateful to them both. Thank you to my incredible wife, Jennifer, who has changed my life and been with me throughout this entire process. I love you, sweetheart, and I thank God for you. And as Jenny and I pray together every morning, all glory, regardless of the outcome, belongs to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. His grace and mercy abounds each day. May his will be done. Thank you to my father, Brian, and mother, Penny, as well as our entire family, including our 7 wonderful kids, Gunnar, Jackson, Peter Boone, Kensington.
So the guy's got a lot of kids. He sounds like a good American. He served this country, and
he's a godly man.
And these people tried to railroad him in every direction. Let me play a couple of more from that
all warriors. This hearing is for you. Thank you for figuratively and literally having my back.
You are a misogynist. Not only that, you are a Christian Zionist. And you support the war in Gaza by the Zionists.
I want to thank the authorities for their swift reaction to that outburst and state that similar interruptions will be treated in like manner. Mr. Hegseth, you may continue.
Well, as I'll say again, thank you for figuratively and literally having my back. I pledge to do the same for all of you. It's an honor to come before this committee today as President Donald Trump's nominee for the office of Secretary of Defense. 2 months ago, 77 million Americans gave President Trump a powerful mandate for change, to put America first, at home and abroad. I want to thank President Trump for his faith in me and his selfless leadership for our republic. The troops have no better commander-in-chief than Donald Trump.
And that was him after he had a couple of protesters. Yeah. And I thought it was just absolutely fabulous the way he was taking all kinds of heat. The female senators were really getting on him because he had said some things about women in the service. You were in the service, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you were in the service.
Yes.
What do you think of women in the service?
I don't have a problem with women in the service. I have a problem with women in combat roles because it'll never work. It's bad to see a man with his head blown off, but what are you going to do when you see a woman with her head blown off and somebody over there raping them? It's not going to do good for your morale. And besides that, is that a good country that lets women go out and get blown up? I don't think so. I don't think that's morally sound. Yeah, morally sound.
But he came back with the answer is that he doesn't have a problem with women in any position as long as they don't lower the standards. And I imagine that for combat standards, 95% of the women wouldn't even be able to make it. So
they pissed off the Rangers.
Before any women get mad at me, I couldn't make it, so don't worry about it.
They pissed off the Rangers. They tried to get women in the Rangers court, and some of these women went through each obstacle like 4 times, and they kept lowering the standards for them, and it pissed them off because you get the guys. One time you're out, you can't make it the first time you're out,
right?
And so then they come out on cover of whatever magazine they were that they're Rangers now, and I had a buddy that was a Navy SEAL, and I told him when he was in, I said, it ain't going to be long before you see SEALs in heels. And he said, no way, we'll never do that. But they're trying to do it now.
They're trying to do it now. And the Navy SEAL is like the top of the top, man.
Yeah, if you're going to have a – Kevin Steer I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to say that because I might get him in trouble.
I was going to say that, if they keep lowering the standards do they have to lower the standards for the men as well? And I'm like going, well, do we want the best of the best, or do we just want people that can check off a couple of boxes on a card and say, okay, I'm a female and I'm a one-legged albino Eskimo? I mean, like I get 4 check boxes for that one. I mean, it's like, no, what we want is the best of the best. If we're going up the best that some other country has to offer or some other terrorist organization has to offer, and we're putting in the B team, how is that going to work? I mean, that's this is not how things.
I'll tell you how it's going to work.
You don't field a team to lose. I mean,
Russian and Chinese are not nice people. And
no,
it ain't going to work good at all.
No, and they're not lowering.
They don't care if you're a woman.
Right. They don't care.
Comanches used to scalp people. Bring that shit back.
No, I don't. Let me play with the Gillibrand in part of this interview, because this is where we get into them and people on the left attacking Hegseth.
Okay.
Well, Senator, I appreciate your comments, and I would point out I have never disparaged women serving in the military. I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform, past and present. My critiques, Senator, recently and in the past, and from personal experience, have been instances where I've seen standards lowered, and you mentioned 11 Alpha, 11 Bravo, MOS, places in units, and the book that has been referenced multiple times here, The War on Warriors. I spent months talking to active duty service members, men and women, low ranks, high ranks, combat arms and not combat arms. And what each and every one of them told me, and which personal instances have shown me, is that in ways direct, indirect, overt, and subtle, standards have been changed inside infantry training units, ranger school, infantry battalions, to ensure that
give me one example. Please give me an example. I get you're making these generalized statements.
Quotas to have a certain number of female infantry officers or infantry enlisted, and that disparages those women.
Commanders do not have to meet quotas for the infantry. Commanders do not have to have a quota for women in the infantry. That does not exist. It does not exist. And your statements are creating the impression that these exist, because they do not. There are not quotas. We want the most lethal force. But I'm telling you, having been here for 15 years, listening to testimony about men and women in combat and the type of operations that were successful in Afghanistan and in Iraq, women were essential for many of those units. When Ranger units went in to find where the terrorists hiding in Afghanistan or in Iraq, if they had a woman in the unit, they could go in, talk to the women in a village, say, where are the terrorists hiding? Where are the weapons hiding? And get crucial information to make sure that we can win that battle. So you cannot denigrate women in general, and your statements do that. We don't want women in the military, especially in combat. What a terrible statement. So please, do not deny that you've made those statements. You have. We take the responsibility of standards very seriously, and we will work with you. I'm equally distressed you would not meet with me before this hearing. We could have covered all of this before you came here, so I could get to the 15 other questions that I want to get to. So women, you have denigrated. You have also denigrated members of the LGBTQ community. Did you know that when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was in place, we lost so many crucial personnel, over 1,000 in mission critical areas. We lost 10% of all our foreign language speakers because of a political policy. You said in your statement, you don't want politics in the DOD. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics.
So she was a little upset. I think she was more upset that he didn't meet with her. You know, that's what she was really mad about. It wasn't the LGBTQ. It wasn't the women that he didn't want in combat. It was the fact he didn't meet with her. She was really pissed about that.
Can I comment about that? Don't ask, don't tell. Because when I was in, Reagan was my commander in chief, and don't ask, don't tell was the policy. And we did have a couple homosexuals in there. We knew it, but it was don't ask, don't tell, and that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
Right.
But for her to bloviate at him about Afghanistan when he was there, I mean, that just cracks me up. She's telling him how it was. The guy was, how long was he there? He was there for quite a while.
He was there for quite a while.
12 years or something. I mean, I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
I mean, the guy has medals. You know what I mean? It's not like he was.
Well, she just said she was sitting sitting on that chair for 15 years. How the hell did she know? She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, so you're saying that the guy that was actually there knows less about it than somebody that's sitting in a chair in DC. Yeah,
and I tell you what, I tend to believe the guy that has thousands or hundreds of Navy SEALs marching down the road for him and sending emails and special forces backing him and everything. I tend to believe him more than I do her.
I do too. But here's my favorite part from that whole interview. This is what I call the Harper Valley. Well, no, not yet. We'll get to that in a minute. But let me play this first.
It seems to me that you've supervised far more people than the average United States senator supervises typically. And
except for former governors, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Mullen, I understand you are yielding back your time and do not wish to ask a question. I was misinformed. Senator Mullen?
Okay.
That's right.
Caught me totally off guard there. I'd like to submit for the record signatures by 32 members of the House of Representatives who are veterans. The signatures call on the Senate to honor the constitutional duty of advise and consent by conducting a fair, thorough confirmation process that evaluates his nomination solely on the substance and merits. His distinguished military service, academic credentials, and a bold vision for revitalizing the national defense. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record.
Without objection.
There's a lot of talk going about talking about qualifications and then about us hiring him if we are the board. But there's a lot of senators here I wouldn't have on my board because there is no qualifications except your age, and you got to be living in the state and you're a citizen of the United States to be a senator. Other than the fact we got to convince a lot of people to vote for us. And then when we start talking about qualifications for if you're qualified for it, could the chairman tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense? Mr. Chairman, could you tell me what the qualifications are for the Secretary of Defense?
I'd be happy
I'll read it.
For you to do that. Yeah.
Let me read it for you because I Googled
I was getting some advice from my second in command.
Yeah, but I'm just making a point because there's a lot about qualifications. And I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not going to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon.
Except he stepped off the board of Raytheon. Well, what do you think there? That was great, but I want to play the best part because it gets even better in his testimony.
Defense. But you so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kane, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because a man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye. We've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. And Jennifer, thank you for loving him through that mistake. Because the only reason why I'm here and not in prison is because my wife loved me too.
Harper couldn't be here 'cause he stayed too long at Kelly's bar again. And if you'll smell Shirley Thompson's breath, you'll find she's had a little nip of gin. And then you have the nerve to tell me you think that as a mother I'm not fit. Well, this is just a little Peyton place, and you're all Harper Valley hypocrites.
Harper Valley hypocrites. He did the old hypocrite on him.
Hypocrisy. If it weren't for hypocrisy, they would have nothing better to do with their lives. That's let's get up and point, and it's like a lot of this stuff is confession through projection, where it's like,
Yes.
we don't like this person because they cheated and they're drunks and I'm like, hold on, but you're a cheater and you're a drunk, and not only that, you've got a lot of skeletons in your closet. So look
at RFK Jr. RFK Jr. Health Secretary.
Yeah.
Got a six-pack, looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger with a little less muscle. And look at the last one that they confirmed. They were just so in love with her, she.
Yeah, can't tell if it's a guy or a gal. Can't tell if it's a moo-moo or a blimp. And it's just like, wow.
It's all ideology, man.
Yeah.
There's Lloyd Austin. There's a freak of nature.
How can you tell? I mean,
how can you tell? He looks like something out of Star Wars there. Yeah, let's see. Here, that's Millie.
Millie.
Yep. There's something wonderful about Millie there.
I'm not knowledgeable enough to know what all those medals are, but since he's never actually done anything in his military career, what are all those medals?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a picture.
Box or what?
I'd like to see a picture of Eisenhower and Eisenhower's uniform, and if he has that many medals, because I'm willing to bet Eisenhower didn't even have that many medals. They're just handing those things out.
I've seen,
but he's the one who was mad because he didn't understand white rage. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy Blinken, one of the worst military defeats ever, Afghanistan. Yeah. Remember Afghanistan?
Yeah.
This guy's responsible for this. Guy should be in prison.
You mean the one where we lost 86?
They made our military a laughing stock. They made our military a laughing stock, and they weakened them by pushing that woke DEI and DEI crap.
Yep.
And it's just I just can't believe this. Now I'm starting to feel like I'm in America again, and I think the closer we get to Monday, the more American we'll become. But
remember this guy?
Oh man.
Oh, yeah. I know. What a
Mayorkas. And he should be in jail too for the border.
Yeah, he's the guy that's in charge of the border, and he's also in charge of what's the one that does airport security? And he does none of it properly.
None of it.
Here's the thing.
He's probably working from home, like all of them.
But I mean, the overarching thing for the last 4 to 8 to whatever years is that, they put in all these incompetent people that are just either super incompetent or they're just super evil. And they make it look like, well, due to their incompetence, that's why we lost all this stuff in Afghanistan and so forth and so on. No. This is all a planned operation. They've been planning.
Oh, yeah. Nothing happens by accident.
Actively taking down the nation piece by piece by piece. And yet the cameras and the media are saying, no, everything's fine. There's a.
Have you ever heard of Cloward Piven's strategy?
Oh yeah,
No, that's what this is. This is Cloward Piven's on steroids. Give away as much money as you can, let as many people run across the border, and we'll accept communism. Well, we won't.
Yeah, drive the country into debt and get rid of our natural resources, put it into control of someone else. Yeah. Totally drive us.
You know what though? 4 more years and we might have.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You're damn right.
Either that or it would have went kinetic. It would have had to go kinetic.
Well, what kills me is they're arguing in the Senate about Pete Hesek, and I just showed you all these freaks. Look at this one.
Oh, I know.
This guy was in charge of nuclear waste, and he had no problem getting confirmed.
He had the.
Is he eating spaghetti or does he have lipstick on?
That's lipstick, Jack.
Yeah, that's lipstick, and I don't know what that brown thing on the upper lip is. I would hate to guess where that brown stain came from, but
you know what? When I was in the military, that guy would have got the hell beat out of him.
Yes, he would have.
They probably would have found him hanging from a telephone pole outside. I ain't lying to you.
Oh well, how about this? The phony admiral.
That's the one I was talking about. No, they had no problem confirming this clown. But RFK is in too good a shape.
Yeah, this is the person that's supposed to be giving us the example of how to live a healthy life. And it's like, okay, overweight, can't figure out your gender, really bad hairstyle, and just, oh my God. I'm like, and you're the one running, you're the one that's supposed to be running everything for health and human services. And that's just horrible.
And what was the programs for health and human services? cut off their tallywhacker, cut off their tits. And
mutilation,
all
child
of it.
mutilation is what they're going on now. Let me
can
show
be
you this
gender-
clip.
How can
This
it be
was
gender
from
affirming if you can't decide your gender. I mean, it's like, what do you mean gender affirming if you're degenderizing somebody?
Good point. Well, let me show you this clip. This was from Pam Bondi's confirmation hearing.
Love her.
Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. You know,
and sitting here
72%,
today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
I only have
have
7
lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question.
Brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
Are you aware
of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is
Are you
horrible.
aware of a?
Do I know if he
you seem
committed a crime?
reluctant.
I have not.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different.
You seem a little reluctant to answer a question when I'm badgering you this way. What's your problem? Me badgering you this way?
Well, hold on. I'm just going to talk over everybody until and that's all. I'm not really going to say anything at all. I'm just going to talk over everybody because I'm Senator Schiff. I'm Mr. Watermelon Head and Pencil Neck, and therefore, and I got elected as senator. Yeah, right. He got elected as senator. And he doesn't even live in California. Well, but anyway, yeah.
And the junior senator needs to quit doing crack or get a good pair of sunglasses because I just can't stand looking in them eyes. That guy's a freaking idiot. I mean, that's the guy that went on TV and lied to the American people every day about having proof of Russian collusion for 2 years?
Yep.
And how the hell does he have can he get up and question other people's?
Well, he's a liar and very good at it.
Yep.
I don't think he's that good at it myself. But
well, today they had the Governor Kristi Noem on there. You were talking about Kristi Noem earlier, and I don't really have Kristi testifying because I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it, but I got the opening of it, which I thought was excellent because I thought Rand Paul did a great job of describing the Department of Homeland Security because he's been, after them for quite a while. So this is beautiful for anyone who's a libertarian, anyone who loves justice. This is good to hear. Listen to this.
The hearing to consider the nomination of Kristi Noem to be Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security will now come to order. The Department of Homeland Security, with 260,000 employees and nearly 20 distinct components, epitomizes in many ways unchecked power. Its vast responsibilities, from border security and disaster response to counterterrorism and cybersecurity, demand rigorous scrutiny to ensure that they are executed within the bounds of the Constitution and with respect to the freedoms of the American people. Nearly 2 years ago, when I became the ranking member of this committee, my team sought to understand the extent of this bureaucratic labyrinth. We asked DHS for a comprehensive list of collaborative entities it participates in, task forces, advisory boards, coalitions, commissions, and the like. The response was astonishingly opaque. They stated there is not a single comprehensive list to address all the collaborative relationships that the department and its components engage in. In other words, we do so much stuff and we're so big we can't describe it for you. But if we can't describe what we have, we got a problem. In plain language, the DHS had really no idea. Think about it. An agency commanding over $110 billion annually can't account for its own activities. This is not just bureaucratic incompetence, it's emblematic of a deeper issue, an agency unsure of its own boundaries and commitments. How can an agency fulfill its mission or earn the American people's trust if it doesn't even know the extent of its own operations? But the problems don't stop there. Instead of focusing on critical threats, like securing the southwest border, DHS has shifted its gaze inward, targeting law-abiding Americans. DHS under the Biden administration has often used its vast powers to target Americans exercising their constitutional rights. It's become an agency more focused on policing speech, monitoring social media, and labeling political dissent as domestic terrorism than addressing genuine security threats. While cartels traffic people and fentanyl across an unguarded border, DHS has spent its time and resources creating partisan disinformation boards, spying on Americans through invasive surveillance technologies. The mission drift is dangerous. Every dollar spent monitoring law-abiding citizens is a dollar not spent securing the homeland. Every moment spent targeting political opponents is a moment not addressing real threats like border security, cyber attacks, or the rising influence of adversarial nation states. The priorities of DHS have been deeply distorted, and the American people are paying the price. And what about DHS's response to COVID-19?
And he goes on about COVID-19, but how do you like that? He opens up the meeting basically telling the governor, Kristi Noem, by the way, we want you to be in charge of an agency that's corrupt and inept all at the same time. You got to love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I just like to say, I got a friend watching, Jonathan Barclay. He's going to be our next county commissioner, and I just want to tell him, there you go, buddy. I want to tell him hi.
Nice.
A nice one finger salute. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, we actually don't. We have $110 billion, but we don't actually know what we're spending it on. We don't actually know what we're doing, and now we want you to run it. So good luck with that.
How many workers did he say he had? Was it like 200,000 workers?
250,000, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was looking at that going, I know some major corporations that don't have that many people, but they actually know, I mean, like, let's say Hewlett-Packard or Oracle or some companies like that where they have 100,000, 200,000 people. They pretty much know what every single person in that company is doing, and they know what every single facet of that corporation is doing.
We went about 220 years without a Department of Homeland Security. I'm all for getting rid of them myself.
Oh, yeah, getting rid of that would be great. And guess who's running that one? That's Mayorkas as well.
That's Mayorkas.
That was part of his thing as well. And it's like, I like the fact that Rand, he was reading from a teleprompter in the back of the room, because I read, I read the first paragraph before they turned the camera to him. And I'm like, so I know every word this guy's going to say. Yeah. It's like,
those new glasses he's got's kind of.
I was kind of jealous of those glasses because they kind of like blended in. I was like going, well, Those
I
are some
don't
cool
know.
looking glasses. You know?
I don't know. I think they were kind of dorky, man.
Yeah, well, but then again, I wear these glasses, so you know what can I say? So
yeah, well, we can always all improve. That's it. So,
the fact that we need improvement. Yeah, I got that.
So, anything going on with election integrity these days, there, Marty?
Oh, we keep battling along, and it's interesting in that what we've been doing is we've been collecting evidence because we realized quite a while ago that a lot of the stuff that we're doing, there's not much we can do with it. I mean, I have plenty of information and I have plenty of proof and I have plenty of, so I'm just collecting receipts. And at some point, the tide is going to turn and we're going to be able to bring lawsuits and be somewhat confident that if we have a good case, that lawsuit will come to fruition, as opposed to some of the lawsuits that we've had where it gets to a certain level of the courts where they're like going, well, we're going to strike it down because we've been told to do that. That has no legal basis or legal merit. But if you think that we did it wrong, and we're saying we did it wrong, you can go ahead and take it to appellate court. And I'm like going, which means now it's going to be an extra $50,000 in lawyers' fees.
Yeah.
Bite me. So
yeah, and that's a low ball figure there.
Oh, I know. And I'm just, but either way, it's like I don't have the big blue act blue pack like laundering money.
And the bad thing. That bad thing is just a step on the way because you're going to lose. I mean, this is a guy here who filed a complaint on the chief judge because he basically took our SAPO and said, "Oh, you guys are racist.
Judge Egan.
What he said, we hated Jews. He said he quoted communist manifest or communist books." And he basically didn't say anything about the law. Why he said it was
not a thing.
This is unconstitutional because you're a racist.
Yeah.
Basically. What a moron. And that there's 13 of them, and 12 of them were appointed by Kate Brown, and the other one was supposed to be a Republican. He's the chief judge. But the guy
Egan's a chief judge. He's the only statewide serving Republican in the entire state.
The wokest one of the whole bunch.
And he's the wokest one of the whole bunch. It's crazy. And he's got the last name Egan.
He was a Marine officer, if you can believe that.
Wow.
It's crazy. Somebody keeps texting me.
Chris, is there anything you want to tell the audience before I get you out of here?
No, I just want to say, man, I think that we just experienced the total rejection of cultural Marxism and rejected the reset and rejected butchering our children and rejected all that crap that the Democrats want to shove on us. But we cannot rest now. It is not a time to stop. It's time to continue on. And we got to somehow replicate what happened in America in Oregon so we can dump all these fools that are in Salem and get somebody who actually represents us.
Oh, and that's essentially what I'm working for. And to put it into the context of like a war, I mean, I think it was who was the guy that was Chump's what was that guy's name? Anyway, doesn't matter. What he was saying is that essentially we have hit the beaches in Normandy. The war is not over. This ain't
the end. This is the beginning.
Yeah, we have made one advance. We are, we have hit the beaches and we are successful there, but the war is not long. The war is long from over, and we need to keep fighting.
I tell you what, we got to win 8 more years as president if we want to really
get more years.
Yes. Yeah. But I will stop. I will end with God bless the United States of America, and may God continue to bless and protect Donald J. Trump. Because we need him. I don't think they're done trying to kill him.
No, I don't think so either. No. Thank you, Chris, for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the invite, brother.
No problem. You take care, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Marty, anything you got left to say before I get you out of here?
No, actually not so much. I didn't have much to say the whole show. So I was like, going, well, you guys are doing just great. I'm going to go out and have a smoke and, grab another beer and we'll just work it from there. But I mean, it is, like I said, it's one of those weekends where this is probably the first time in my life where I'm like going, I just can't wait for Monday to get here. I mean,
Monday.
years and years of my career, I was like, oh man, I hope Monday never comes. And now I'm like, can we get to Monday? Can we just?
I don't want to depress you, but Tuesday follows Monday, and on Tuesday, the Oregon legislature goes into session.
Well,
yeah.
Thanks for that downer. Way to go,
real
downer,
big downer. Wow. Well, thank you for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on the show. I mean, it's always entertaining, and it's always a lot of fun, and it's always great to have people that have differing points of views, just so we can bounce different things off of different people and see, which way things are going. I mean, I'm pretty positive that we're making progress, and I think what we're seeing in the nation, we can do in Oregon. And I'm seeing, I mean, especially like since I'm in Los Angeles at the moment, after all the stuff that's been going on down here, I mean, it's like, and bad choice of words, but it's a big firestorm to get rid of Bass, the mayor, and Newsom, the governor, and and all these people that couldn't figure out how to fill a reservoir and keep hydrants going and so forth and so on. And it's like, oh yeah, well, we lost $24 billion on the homeless thing, and we cut the fire budget by 17 million, and we want to cut another 49 million. And oh, oops, we had a fire. And it's like, yeah, so what happens when we have an earthquake? That was a limited fire in a small area, and you guys couldn't handle it.
That's a good point. Could you imagine if California has an earthquake at any point in time? Man, that's the devastation. If it's anything over a 4 point, you know what I mean? If it's in the right area.
I was in Encino for the Northridge quake, and Encino, for people that don't know Los Angeles, Encino is like 10 miles south of Northridge. So I was pretty much at the epicenter for the Northridge quake. But that was long before the days of super incompetent Soros appointed and paid for DAs and mayors and governors. Well, actually, the governor is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. So, well, that's how that crime family rolls. But
right.
I mean, it's like they had all these people that are super incompetent. I mean, now they do, but back then everybody was pretty competent, and the Northridge quake was a disaster, but they handled it really well. And it was like, it could have been, a lot of buildings collapsed. There was a lot of fires, and they had everything under control in a fairly short order, and it was great. If that was going to happen now, it would be, I mean, probably millions, if not tens of millions of people would be dead, because they would have no way to mitigate the disaster, no way to stop the fires, no way to get water in, no way to get supplies in, and it's like, what are you going to do? So
what are you going to do?
Yeah. So I've kind of gone off on that tangent, but the thing is we're now turning the corner where it's like all these people that were installed through questionable means, because we haven't had a clean election in Oregon or California in decades. And I think election reform is going to be a big platform, and they're going to have all the receipts from the 2020 that basically say, you know what, elections are bad, and now we can prove it. And a lot of the mainstream media is going down the tank, so the megaphone of propaganda is going to be turned off, which is a good thing. And most of the social media stuff that's been censoring and blocking is not going to be censoring and blocking anymore. I saw Zuckerberg do an about face going, I'm turning off all our DEI offices and we're not going to censor anymore. And I'm like, a little bit late there. You spent $200 million to make sure.
In fact, as a side note there, I'm on Facebook for the second time in about, 6-7 months because of fighting with Facebook over content.
Yeah. And I mean, I got kicked off of Twitter before Elon bought it for posting the text of US Code 2381, which is just, what's the text of treason? And I didn't even say code. All I did was post US Code, and they said it was violent speech and a hate crime that I posted US Code. I didn't say
I agree with them. I think the US Code is violence and hate speech.
Well, there is that. But I mean, I wasn't saying, oh, this guy has to hang or this guy's got to die because he's a treason. He's committed treason. I just said, well, treason does have certain, it does have certain like snags to it that might. And then I posted the code, and they said, oh, that's hate speech. So I appealed. They said, screw you. I appealed. They said, screw you. On a whim, 3 months ago, I appealed again, and they said, oh, we made a big mistake. That was an error. You can have your account back now. And I was like, that's actually a good thing. I mean, it's like, okay,
Wow.
it's like we are now getting back to where free speech might actually be a thing.
Well, and they admitted they're wrong. It sounds like they admitted they're wrong.
Well, they did. They said we made a mistake in the email. They said we made a mistake. It's not like, oh, well, it was interpreted incorrectly today, and said, you're still a jerk. It was like, no, we made a mistake. Yeah. Sorry about that. Here's your account back. And I was like, what?
Yeah, Facebook don't do that. They just put the content back and move on. Like, like it was just a bad waitress, Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry the waitress spilled that hot coffee in your lap. Well,
she's moved on.
Thanks for coming. Hope you come back soon.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, and I'm hoping there's going to be some big changes in the FCC as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the FCC, just before Biden hit the exit door, essentially approved George Soros buying like hundreds and hundreds of stations. And I was just like, wow, we need to get back to, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like you could only have like 5 radio and 1 TV station in a market at one point, and it had to be locally owned. It couldn't be like, and it's like,
well, he probably has them all under LLCs.
Well, that might be, but it's pretty easy to track those things down. But I mean, even Coos Bay, for instance, it's like Coos Bay has 18 radio signals, and 12 of them are owned by Bicoastal Media. It's like, and we're a dink market. I mean, we don't even show up in the top 150.
Right.
And so it's going to be even worse in larger markets. So it's, I'm hoping there's going to be some changes there. I'm hoping, I've got nothing but hope at this point, because it's been, 4 to 8 years of doing duck and cover going, I would like to be able to say I'm in favor of this, but I know somebody's going to hit me from behind with a baseball bat if I do. So I'll keep it on the down low. I'll sneak around.
Right. Thank goodness that's over with.
Yeah. At least for now.
For now. Well, you have a good night, sir.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. You have a good night as well, and have a great weekend. And I guess there's going to be a rally on Sunday. So, which is like the first time. Is it on Sunday or Monday? So the inauguration going to be on Monday or Tuesday?
On Monday.
Yeah, so Trump is throwing a rally the day before.
Oh.
So that should be pretty entertaining as well. I was on the Cause of America call earlier today, and they're like, "Oh yeah, and don't forget to watch the rally." And I was like, I was just kind of hide under the bed until Monday, but okay, maybe I'll come out and watch the rally.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's to me. I'll be working all weekend. I got yards to do. If it's sunny, I got yards to do.
All righty.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. And that was Marty Kuhrt joining me for another episode of the Friday Night Rant. I want to go through some of your questions here. None of your businesses, they take away your guns when they know you aren't going to like what they have planned for you. No, they always do that. Yeah, Hitler, you notice he kind of disarmed the Jews before he said, "Oh, we're going to move you into the barrios. Yes, we're going to move you into the ghettos." Yes, that's where they moved the Jews and took away their guns, and they weren't able to fight back. They did that. They did that with the gypsies. They did that in Russia. They did that. They took away the guns of the Ukrainians many, 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 many years ago, before even this war started today. And they did the same thing in China. Everywhere any dictator has ever taken over, the first thing they do is disarm the citizens. First thing they do. Jeff Pete says, "Oh, good to talk to you, Jeff." Says, "Giving retards a bad name." Well, don't know what that comment's related to, but yeah. America first, us. Yes, I would agree with that. Jeff Pete says, let me see, possibly 1% or less of women belong in combat. Like I said, it's if they can standards. It's all about standards, Jeff. If they can pass the standards, they belong in combat. I just think the standards shouldn't be lowered. They should be at the highest they can be. And if men have to pass it, then everyone else has to pass it as well. Michaela says, I agree, Chris. Men will be put in danger if they see women in compromised situations. And that's always the problem. That's always the problem is that men we're just wired to help women. And of course, if you have a female in a group of men, there's always going to be that tendency of the men to always look after the female. And I don't care what kind of training you do, it's almost impossible to take that innate characteristic out of men. We're just, I don't know. I think most men are just, we're just wired that way. None of your business says, no offense to women, but they generally be a liability on a battlefield. And I kind of agree with you. I agree with you, Nanya. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and once we get rid of that 19th Amendment, that was, what can I say? Once we get rid of that 19th Amendment, well, we won't have to worry about that women in the military. We'll keep working on that. None of your business says these demon rats are really, really nasty. They are really, really nasty. Jeff says, FUU standards have been changed in everything. School scores, athletic scores, police and fire scores. Everywhere it's being watered down, all in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Everywhere. They're giving special preferential treatment to minorities, women, people, the LGBT community, it's just ridiculous. They have their people in every one of those communities who can meet the standards. That's all we're asking. Just meet the standards. Don't lower the standards. Just find people to meet the standards. And Hezekiah, the Democrat women is one of many reasons why recruits are going down in the U.S. military. Yes, that is absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. Yes. I don't know what you're talking about on that one, but yeah, I'll take your word for it. It must have been. None of your business. Demon rats are world-class hypocrites. It's the most often played Saul Alinsky card of them all. Yeah, no kidding. That's Saul Alinsky. He probably should have wrote a book. Yeah, he probably should have wrote a book for radicals. That's what he should have done. Yeah, he would have done good, that Saul Alinsky, writing a book for radicals. I wish I would have been around to tell him back then. But no, it's not incompetence. That's just the excuse. It's all totally intentional. And I totally agree. I think we all agreed with you in the end there on that conversation. We were talking about the Afghanistan and Mayorkas? No, Mayorkas is the border. Blinken, it was the guy in charge of that Afghanistan thing. Yeah, just crazy shit there. It's conspiracy, not incompetence. Yeah, I agree with you. None of your business. That guy is nuclear waste. Yes, he is nuclear waste. I think that was the problem with Sam Britton. That's the guy who I had on a little bit earlier. I had a picture of him. Let's see. I think I still have that. Yes, there he is, Sam Britton. Yes, I think that's what happened to him. I think the guy, he used to steal suitcases. I think he stole a suitcase with nuclear waste in it, and that's what happened. Maybe this isn't even his fault. He's not as crazy as we think. He's just a victim of, nuclear waste, probably from a bag that he stole. I don't know. I just, I'm throwing that out there. New conspiracy. You guys can see where it goes. Master Chief would have made that admiral lost at sea. Yes, they would have. Yes, they definitely would have thrown Admiral Levine overboard. I personally would have made her walk the plank. Walk the plank, woman. She just says she's a woman. She's really not a woman. She's got berries. And anyone who has berries on my pirate ship has to walk the plank. Okay. Got lost there. I don't know what I was talking about. Let's see. All right. Jeff P. lost. Thank you for correcting that. Michaela makes the praying signs. Michaela says, you two are the best. Well, I like to think so, of course. Have a nice weekend, Marty. Marty says, thanks. Jeff P. says, talk with a conservative 800 to 1000 a.m. Cafe 101 Saturday. Oh, I forgot to. Tomorrow between 8 and 10 a.m. at Cafe 101, there's a candidate that's going to be there. And I forget what the candidate, I think it was school board. Is he running for school board? I think it was school board. But Chris Castleman is going to be at Cafe 101 between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. If you guys are interested, you can go and talk with Chris and see what the latest things that's going on. He stole a suitcase nuke. Oh, yep, that's hilarious. I'm thinking it was nuclear waste. Yeah, I think it was actually a suitcase nuke. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. All righty then. All right, let's see what I got for you here. There's always those things we got to bring up. I don't have the meeting schedule, but I do have something that I needed to talk to you guys about. If you live here in Coos County, you know that we're having a problem down at the county. We're having a problem. We're broke. We don't have any money. We have the we ain't got no money fever. That's right. The we ain't got no money. That's us. And we ain't got no money because, we're broke. And if you want to be on the budget committee, because it's one of those committees that has to figure out what we're going to do because we got no money. Because we got no money, we need a person on that committee, and we need someone who is very good with figuring out how to make cuts in a budget. Unfortunately, that's what we're probably going to have to do more of at the county level. And it's going to take someone who is actually qualified to sit on this budget committee and help the commissioners make those decisions. And if you want to be on that committee, all you have to do is go to the county website and fill out a form, and they will help you there to figure it out. You just got to get that back to Bobby. Bobby is the secretary for the commissioners. Get that application back to Bobby. You can mail it in. You can bring it in by hand. I think you can email it in. Go to their website and look for the application to get on the budget committee. But they're doing that budget committee because they need new people on there. And I would highly recommend that if you are capable of doing that, being on the budget committee, that you do it, that you do a good thing. And I got to talk about something that happened recently. And I, it's something that happened months ago. In fact, it happened in June of 2024. And I'm going to share that here. Let's see if I can get that, add that to the stage. Yes, the Bandon School Board enacts an excise tax on new construction inside the district. Now, we've got several conservatives sitting on that board. So I would assume that those conservatives on the board would be opposed to another excise tax, a property tax. This is because it's an excise tax and it's on new construction. It's paid for when anyone who's going to do new construction in the Bandon School District goes and buys the permit. They have to pay the tax at that point in time. It's a one-time payment, but still. The Bandon School Board has been bitching, complaining, and moaning that they can't find housing for their employees. They cannot find affordable housing for their employees. So in their wit and wisdom, what did they decide? Well, we'll make it more expensive for developers to build houses. And we have 3 conservatives on there. I forget all their. I think David Heisel is on there, and my buddy Stan Avery is on there. And this is why sometimes it's tough when you have friends who are in politics. When you have friends in politics, at some point they're going to make a vote that you disagree with them on, and you're going to have to call them up or email them or talk to them about the decision they made. And most of the time, it'll be on policy, and I have no problem with that. But there are two things. Actually, there's a couple more things than just two. There's a few things that if you're my representative, you're sitting on a taxing district, and you vote to increase the taxes, I'm not going to support you anymore. That's my rule now. I just don't support you. If you vote for anything with diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you vote for any woke policy, any trans policy, any gay agenda, I'm not going to support you anymore. If you vote to put tampons in the boys' bathroom, I sure as hell am not going to support you anymore. I'm done. If you're that damn stupid, you don't deserve my vote, and you probably shouldn't be in office. You should probably be somewhere cleaning an office somewhere as a janitor, because that's about all you're qualified for. If you don't understand that, and you're in an elected position, and you call yourself a conservative, and you vote for taxes, or you vote for DEI, you vote for more garbage, I'm not going to support you anymore. And it's not personal. It's political. I've got a friend who's on the North Bend City Council, and I'm not going to be able to support him anymore. I told people to vote for him, and since I've told him to vote for him since the election in this past November, he's made several decisions in just a short amount of time where I can't tell people to support this guy anymore. And I'm talking about Matt Hamilton over on the North Bend. He's a friend of mine. And once again, this isn't personal, this is political, but I wouldn't vote for that guy now. Nope, I wouldn't vote for him. He's made some really bad decisions. Well, this is the same with Stan Avery. This is the same with Rod Taylor. I like these guys. I'm friends with these guys. I used to be friends with David Brock Smith, but he got upset because, well, I was calling him out on some of his bad decisions. And once again, first thing he tells me when you get him on the radio, "Oh, I'm not your friend, Rob. I'm not your friend at all." Oh, okay, I guess we can't disagree on politics. But if you're going to get into politics and you're going to run for office and you're not going to do what you say you do while you're campaigning, if you make promises, I'm not going to shut down public lands, and you shut down public lands. If you make promises, I'm not going to vote for taxes, and you vote for taxes. You make promises, I'm not going to support any DEI policies, and you vote for DEI policies. You cannot get mad at me because I no longer will support you. And once again, it's not personal. It's political. So I really hate it when friends of mine tell me, "Rob, I want to run for office," because I know at some point they're going to get mad at me because I can no longer support them because they made a bad vote. And my policy, my ideology has not changed. I didn't support property tax 5 years ago. I didn't support income or property taxes 10 years ago. Don't support it today. Didn't support them 30 years ago. Pretty much the same. I haven't changed. But if you get into office and you vote for taxes, don't get mad at me. But I'm mad as hell that Stan didn't even tell us that this was going on. You cannot watch every board. And that's why I help get people elected to boards, because I hope they call me when there's an important vote. And you think Stan would have dropped me a line or called, texted me, he could have sent me an email, anything, but he didn't. And so I posted this story, and in this story, you can see it there. It says, "It is time to vote out all of the current school board members." Well, I guess he saw that after I posted it, and within 10 minutes of me posting it, he texted me going, "Rob, I thought we were allies. Now you're asking for me not to be voted out of office?" And I'm thinking, well, we are allies. But you're mad at me now when you didn't tell me back in June that this vote was happening? I thought we were allies. So I just find it amazing that when people get into office, and they become politicians, they are the ones who change. They get mad at the rest of us when we criticize the way they vote. And you can't get mad at people because you get into office and somehow you have this revelation that, oh, maybe I am for taxes. Because I thought Stan was opposed to taxes. And you know, I should call Stan and get him on the show to ask him his side of the story, because I would be curious. But I just can't support people anymore if they're going to vote for taxes. I can't support them if they're going to vote for the DEI woke agenda. So if you run for office and you're one of my friends, please understand I will criticize you just as hard as I criticize anyone else who's sitting in a political position. So I just had to bring this to your attention because I'm ticked off and abandoned at the school board that they did this. And I think it's time for people who are not only going to stand up against DEI, but are going to stand up against new taxes. We don't need new taxes. And I got a couple of more comments here. Let's see. Jeff P says, common sense is gone. You're damn right, Jeff. Seriously gone. He says, it's ridiculous for them to expect you to agree with them on everything. Yeah, I know. It's, yeah, exactly. These politicians who get upset when you don't agree with them, it cracks me up. Do they do the same? Do they treat their wives the same way? You know, I don't know. It's weird. Watch the UPTD board. We're upholding our promise to conservative values. And I'm glad someone is, Michaela. And thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. And thank you for promoting the show. I appreciate that as well. We're going to try to get you and Ben on, and not this Monday, maybe in the Monday following. I've been trying to get Ben on here, and we're working out dates and stuff. So we'll get you on to talk about end vote by mail. And once again, if you want to find out more about that, and you want to help Michaela and Ben get these signatures, filled out, signed out, get signatures for them, go to endvbm. That's endvbm.com. And let's see, I got no one taxed enough already. No shit, they're none of your business. No shit. We are taxed way too much. And well, you know what time it is? I got to tell you about my sponsors, 3H Tree Service. I don't know if you guys know about 3H Tree Service. They're really badass. And in fact, they're so badass. I got a video here, and it's commercial, but I love watching this commercial. It's so cool. I got to watch this commercial all the time. And that was 3H Tree Service. If you need to get any of those trees removed in your yard, you have a problem tree, 3H Tree Service, as you can see by that video, they're more than capable of taking those trees out. They can come out and take them out with surgical precision. You should see those videos when they're over somebody's shed or over people's houses. It's just amazing how those guys remove those branches, are able to remove those branches and take down those trees in such a way that it's completely safe, doesn't harm you, any of your buildings, your cars. And you guys, it's Oregon. Those trees, man, those trees grow like weeds out in Oregon. Yeah, trees grow like weeds out in Oregon. It's true. And so if you need to get rid of some of those trees, you need to call 3H Tree Service, 541 294-1800. Once again, it's 541-294-1800. And of course, if you have any automotive needs, you can go see Tom and Giggs go to Tom and Giggs, see Tim over at Tom and Giggs. Tim and Shanna, they're the owners over there. Great people, great friends of mine. And you can reach them at 541-888-4660. That's 541-888-4660. They're over there in Empire neighborhood behind the car wash. If you know the Empire neighborhood, you know where the car wash is, and they're right behind that. That's 135 South Shoneman Street. That's once again 135 South Shoneman Street. And herbal choices for all your herbal needs. You got herbal needs? Some of us got herbal needs. And if you got herbal needs, I would recommend Herbal Choices. They're the dispensary of my choice, and they have 5 different stores. They got a store in Reedsport. Beautiful store in Reedsport. Beautiful store. And then you head on down south from Reedsport, and you can go to the store in North Bend. Yeah, right there on Highway 101 in North Bend. Another beautiful store, well lit. They got great bud tenders in there to help you out for all your herbal needs at Herbal Choices. You keep heading down that road, and you can go to the store at Coos Bay. There's a store in Coos Bay, Herbal Choices. And there's one south of Bandon on Highway 101. And don't forget that one in Charleston. There's a store in Charleston for all of your herbal needs, Herbal Choices. I highly recommend them. And Oregon Firearms Federation, we just had Chris Brumbles on. He works for the Oregon Firearms Federation. He's one of their reps. And, of course, him and people like Kevin Starrett, the founder of Oregon Firearms Federation. He's been doing this since 1998, folks. He's been doing this for a long damn time. And there are going to be more lawsuits, and it's going to cost a lot more money to defend your Second Amendment rights. And don't give to any of those phony gun groups that are being created. They're only looking to take your money and make you feel good. You don't want to just feel good. You actually want to take your money and give to an organization that's going to do something. If you want to feel good, give to the Humane Society. Every time you see those commercials of those poor little puppies out in the rain. Yeah, if you want to feel good, give your money to that. If you actually want to do something to protect your rights, if you're looking to protect your Second Amendment rights, then you need to give anything you can to the Oregon Firearms Federation. And you can find out more at OregonFirearms.org. They're not my sponsors, but I like to promote Bandon Gun Club. Why? Because I like to promote gun safety and gun accuracy. People need to learn how to handle their firearms, and you can find out more at BandonGunClub.org, or you can go to our other fine gun range out here in Coos County, the Tioga Sports Park. You can find out more at TiogaSportsPark.org. And the weather's probably going to be clearing up a little bit, maybe it'll be a little bit drier. So you might get some volunteers out there. So check out Tioga Sports Park. They might be able to help you. And I should have been promoting them all along, but Coos County Neighborhood Watch. If you don't know where to go to find out about the criminals in Coos County, go on Facebook and look for Coos County Neighborhood Watch. You can see their emblem right there, Coos County Neighborhood Watch. Great group of people. There are people actively out there walking patrols, driving patrols all over this county, thanks to this group, Coos County Neighborhood Watch. And it was started by a good friend of mine, Matt Wilbanks, great guy. And he's moved out of the area, but there's so many people who have taken up the slack. It is just beautiful. And I highly recommend you go and check out Coos County Neighborhood Watch if you want to find out about those criminals in your neighborhood. They're pretty good about that. They're pretty good about getting those criminals. It's amazing how fast that they catch those criminals. I'm blown away every time I see them. On that Facebook page. They've got somebody. They've caught somebody before you will ever see it in the world newspaper. I think in the world newspaper, they were like a week late of getting that story out about the window breaker. Pathetic paper. No, this is news today. This is where news is going. And this is no longer your grandma's news source, okay? This is not your grandma's news source. So if you want to find out about criminals, go to the Coos County Neighborhood Watch and sign up. And I want to thank you all for joining me. I will see you Monday. Yeah, that's up in the air. I tried to get Ben Edel on this Monday, but it may be the following Monday. So I'm not sure who will be on Monday, but I know since it's the inauguration, we'll be doing something. So tune in Monday at 3 o'clock and definitely tune in next Friday for the next Friday Night Rant. And you know what I always say, folks, until next time, carry on, Coos County, carry on.